Ballyhoo and welcome. The Passion Project continues. My name is Remedy Robinson. I'm a linguist, author, and a very grateful fan. And this is an appreciation. This is an exploration of linguistics, language, and how to spark a love affair, as framed by the peerless poetry of the modern-day master, Elvis Costello. Today's slow drag is with Brilliant Mistake from King of America, released in 1986. The songwriting is credited to Elvis Costello's birth name. It's a sweeping indictment of it, he, and I, all in this span of 245 words, many of them repeated in a strategic manner. Could we call the title, Brilliant Mistake, an oxymoron? Perhaps, but it seems a bit limiting now, doesn't it? Personally, when I think about a slow drag with this dazzling piece, I think of the famous Stanford marshmallow experiment, the one on delayed gratification, and how waiting this long to devote an episode to Brilliant Mistake was my very own act of stellar self-control. He thought he was the king of America, where they pour Coca Cola just like vintage wine. Now I try hard not to become hysterical, but I'm not sure if I'm laughing or crying. Here we have another piece by Elvis Costello that incorporates keen observations, one that stops just short of making a blatant judgment. Mind you, that is only if the King of America has crowned himself, which as an American I assume he's done by default, and isn't a pejorative assessment made by the narrator. Of course, it's easy to insert Elvis Presley into this role, but I feel that would be doing it a bit of a disservice to this rather shell-shocked glimpse of a big crumbling monolith found in our vast land. The narrator is moved, but in what direction, laughing or crying? The truly tenuous rhyme of America and hysterical and wine and crying provides a calming effect as it takes us through the prologue to this story. And apropos of nothing, but I did once see Mr. Costello with a Diet Coke in his hand. It's difficult enough for me to think of him as mortal, let alone drinking a Diet Coke out of the can, no less. I wish that I could push a button and talk in the past and not the present tense, and watch this hurting feeling disappear like it was common sense. It was a fine idea at the time. Now it's a brilliant mistake. The sound of these words is fanciful, yet the subtext is rather cogent, something we can all relate to, hoping for the time and space beyond our own follies. It's as obvious as saying time heals all wounds, but not in a way that patronizes. It is absolutely the advice we're able to dispense freely, but not able to find the common sense to cure ourselves with. Note the hurting feeling and how it was a fine idea, but now how it is now a brilliant mistake. This will come up again, to be sure, and of course it will be in the most Elvis Costello way possible. She said that she was working for the ABC News. It was as much of the alphabet as she knew how to use. Her perfume was unspeakable. It lingered in the air, like her artificial laughter and mementos of affairs. The first verse was focused on he. Now this verse features a she. It might be safe to say that the keen power of observation may have spilled into the realm of judgment with this woman. Unlike the possibly self-proclaimed king of America, no one would openly avow how much of the alphabet they weren't able to use. As I continue to point out, Mr. Costello portrays his female characters with respect and empathy. Rarely is a woman there for just idle objectification, not even a party girl. That said, these seemingly unkind details seem pointed, as if they have been earned and not just simply observed. In concert, Mr. Costello once changed ABC to MTV. This was before I saw him with a Diet Coke in his hand. "Oh," I said, "I see you know him. Isn't that very fortunate for you?" And she showed me his calling card. And he came third or fourth, and there were more than one or two. He was a fine idea at the time. Now he's a brilliant mistake. Indulging yourself further by dropping names and the feigned interest the narrator shows is one of those quips that might escape us, leaving us to wish we'd thought of it at the time. He came in third or fourth, and there were more than one or two, is a line that never dies, a line that I will never get tired of hearing. It seems to make sense, but then it shifts into another stratosphere of complication. Notice the change in pronoun. It in the first verse has gone on to he, and now he's a brilliant mistake. Is the narrator and the reporter speaking of the aforementioned King of America? Anything is possible. The calling card man might not be the man in question, however. There are as many people in this piece as we wish there to be. He thought he was the King of America, but it was just a boulevard of broken dreams, a trick they do with mirrors and with chemicals. The words of love in whispers, the acts of love in screams. The mention of a boulevard of broken dreams can be a nod to Tom Waits' 1975 album, or it very well could be referring to the 1984 adaptation of Edward Hopper's 1942 painting, Nighthawks. This in itself would help to paint a picture of its own, at the same time bringing back into question whether it really is a reference to the King Elvis Presley or not. I say it's a circular sort of argument, that maybe it is, but he was considered the king of rock and roll, not the king of America. Yes, he's in the picture, but so is Humphrey Bogart and James Dean. That's part of this piece's enduring charm, in my opinion. Given how this piece was written in the 1980s, the mirrors and chemicals sound like late night adventures fueled by illicit drugs, but that seems too easy for an Elvis Costello piece. There has to be more. Cinema, perhaps. It's all smoke and mirrors. What a fantastic, emotional picture of where words are whispered and acts are screamed. I wish that I could push a button and talk in the past and not the present tense, and watch this loving feeling disappear like it was common sense. I was a fine idea at the time. Now I'm a brilliant mistake. In this, the final verse, the same desire is asserted, wanting to speak in the past to create space and distance. This time, as compared with the hurting feeling that disappeared in the first verse, it is a feeling of love that disappears like it was common sense. The power and the opposition of each of these lines creates an electrical spark. There's a total of 3 verses to this ballad, of which many of the same lines are reused. Only it was a fine idea gives into he was a fine idea, and finally I was a fine idea, all in the past tense. This goes along well with the vicissitudes of hurting and loving. The superlatives I'd use to describe how ingenious this is might sound a bit hyperbolic and still not adequately express how complete this piece feels. I was a fine idea at the time. Now I'm a brilliant mistake. Dig it. Again, this has been a slow drag with Brilliant Mistake from 1986's King of America. There is something overpowering yet soothing about this piece, as the introduction to the entire album of songs that can be described thusly. It set the tone for how I and so many other ardent fans, I am certain, will listen to his work. We listen to it on repeat. Recently, a few Twitter users have ranked their favorite Elvis Costello albums. It isn't a surprise that King of America ranks at the top of most of them. And while I could never compile such a list personally, I sure do have a soft spot for this album, and especially for this lovely song. And that's it for today's slow drag, my friend. Thank you for listening. I highly encourage you to re-listen to episode 4 of Slow Drag with Remedy. The hangover this morning had a personality. It's a slow drag with the big light. And also episode 33, Friends Think of Her Fondly. It's a slow drag with Our Little Angel. And episode 43, It's Better to Confess. It's a slow drag with Glitter Gulch. All 3 of these episodes are slow drags with more gems from King of America. You can find us on Instagram. Simply search for my name, Remedy Robinson, or search for my podcast, Slow Drag with Remedy. I'm also on Twitter at Slow Drag Remedy. Please give me a follow, say hello, and follow back. Also, please visit slowdragwithremedy.com for companion blogs and other useful information. I'm putting up new transcripts weekly. And if you would, please take the time to give us a 5-star rating, especially on Apple Podcasts. As always, thank you so much for helping get the word out about this little passion project. Truly, it means the world. So, until next time, adieu, my little ballyhoo. Slow drag with Remedy.